Hey everyone, this is UC from iTradePrice. Just going to go through our weekly charts here. One thing to remember is that this next week we have some important earnings coming up, so that can definitely change the course of how charts move in the short term, at least in terms of the erratic movements that can be caused because of the earnings announcement. So just keep that in the back of your mind as you trade this week. So I think for the coming next 2 to 3 weeks, we will be in that season. So Q4 earnings will be announced. So just watch for that. Okay. Apple actually earnings next week after 27th market close. So important day for Apple and probably a lot of market because a lot of market participants look for Apple as a leader, and then if it's performing well, that means generally the market is doing well. So here's the weekly chart. Nice from the location perspective. It is still in a bullish trend, and this particular week's bar, actually you can see ate up all past 3 weeks of red bars. So very nicely bullish and close towards the high end as well. Okay, and from the structure as well, from its shape, it is a trend bar, so that means buyers were in control all throughout the week. Volume is still a little weak, but with earnings, maybe I think a lot of people are just kind of holding on before making that long-term decision. Okay, and moving on to the daily time frame, again, 3 bullish trend bars, very bullish in terms of the price action and the way the underlying price as well. Above moving averages, 20 and 50 both. So yeah, I mean, you can see any pullbacks were nicely contained here around 126.9 support, which was also a trend line support as well. So going back above towards the recent highs of 139, and I think it's aftermarket, it's even above 140 right now. So it looks like it might actually open with a gap up. We'll see how futures remain overnight, but so far so good. Amazon, let's go with the weekly time frame. So you can see Amazon, very nice comeback this past week, right from the trend line. This is still in that larger triangle pattern, and unless or until we get back above this 32.52 resistance, right, which is also a trend line resistance as well. So that is an important area that a lot of folks are watching because so far Amazon in any run up towards this area has always kind of gotten rejected from that area, right? It has not had a week where it closed above 33.50 except this one right here, right? All the other rallies were just sold. So it is getting tight. Earnings are in the next week and a half or so. So, that can be a catalyst where we kind of break out from this this larger period time, this triangle, right? So overall, yes, it can be. It was actually, this one is a nice pattern, and you can see is because we have this few weeks of consolidation right here, and this a couple of weeks ago the price broke down, right? Everybody was like, okay, this thing is bearish, it's not doing well compared to other fangs. But then immediately the next following week, which was the last week, we got the run back up, right? So you can classify that as a range breakout failure trade, and those are kind of, one of my best setups that I like to trade. So all good here, nice action in the daily time frame, same pattern, right? We had this last few days of gap ups, and which it actually held, but every time, like I said, it comes to this 33.50 area, it gets rejected, which it did here as well, right? But it's contained. It's not a big dump like right over here, or over here, right? We're just kind of holding in that 32.80 level right now. And if I drill down into a lower time frame, you can see we're sort of forgiving this flaggish kind of a move here, where it's just kind of holding this level. So even I think if we open below this 32.80 level, which Amazon can easily do that. We can go towards that gap fill, and we'll see how it acts towards this trend line, this channel bottom line. If it reverses, that's a good sign. If we get back above this channel, and 33.13 area, which is the short-term intraday resistance, then definitely buyers are back and wants to go test this 33.40, 33.50 area. Okay, so we'll see how it goes, but we'll just trade how the charts play out. Okay, let's go take a look at actually PayPal. We traded this name a lot this past week. Still, from the location perspective, we kind of closed above this this recent, you can say, range, right? This is the first week that it closed above that range. It has held this channel nicely all throughout this past few months, so that is a good sign. Getting into the daily time frame, again, nothing wrong with it. It's making these higher lows and higher highs. Nicely, 243 area provided a good support since the past couple of days right here. Even if we dropped here below that price, but we managed to close kind of above that, right? So that's a good sign. And if I drill into a lower time frame, you can see we are making this sort of channel up, and it is nicely, whenever it comes around this moving average of 50 and 20 in the 5-minute time frame, it kind of gets this bounce back up, right? So we are sort of this flag, and now let's see if it gets back above 252.7, which will be a channel breakout, and if it can go test 254.5 area or above that to kind of continue with its recent momentum here. I'm not bearish on this name until or unless we get kind of below 246 area, right? Because we can easily come there and bounce back up, and that will be sort of still in this downward little mini channel that it's forming, right? So it will still be okay. It's a good chart, PayPal. Another one is BYND. I like this name. It's sort of making this daily flag pattern, right? And it looks nice because we have this long flag here, pole, that it gave us about a couple of weeks ago, right? And then it consolidated here towards the highs as well last week, right? With no significant downside to any red bar, right? This was the red day, did not get any significant down follow through. In fact, they got a sort of a hammer looking bar, which means it is seen as where buyers are kind of picking up those shares. And in the daily time frame, you can see 50 SMA, which is this green line, providing nice support as the price did not could not close below that as well. So that's a good thing. And let's drill down to a lower time frame to kind of give you that view. Here's the flag pattern that I'm talking about, right? This is the pole, and there's the pattern. It's holding this sort of price. Let's see if we want to come down a little bit and then eventually break out of this. But I like this name for a long trade, as long as it's above 132.5, right? That's sort of the channel bottom and also the horizontal price bottom. Anything below that, I will lean bearish. But for right now, any pullbacks can be bought, and eventually, if we're looking for a move above 143.5 in this one, so that can be a good play. Here's the Facebook weekly chart. We have earnings. I believe it's maybe the day after, like Monday after close or Tuesday after close, just to make sure. But big sort of maybe a, I don't know, from weekly perspective, it looks like a nice little channel that it can kind of eventually break out of. But we won't trade it that way unless or until it happens. But for right now, yeah, I mean, it looks nice. It held this recent sort of sell-off, and if you look again, range breakout failure trade, very nice one, where this is a range, right, that it was trading in the mostly. It broke out of that range, and immediately we got failure of that breakout because price turn back up. So this was a good long trigger right here. And now it can, the momentum can kind of keep it, kind of elevated towards at least this trend line. But again, with earnings, anything can happen. It can break out. It can just kind of fall back down. We don't know. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens. But in the daily time frame, again, nice push to the upside. I have not put it right here, but this was the 200-day simple moving average where it moved back up to from, right, just 244. So very nice, actually, risk and reward, because 200 was like this, and this pattern is also bullish because it's known as the bullish harami, where you have this big red bar, but then no follow through. In fact, you get this inside bullish day and then the reversal. So that's a good pattern to kind of keep an eye on these pullbacks like this. Here's the DKNG stock. A lot of people are bullish on this name. Chart was sort of sideways for the most week, last week, but it's holding this recent range, right? I mean, if you look at it, it has not been able to close above this 53, 54 area, but it's not even breaking down. And it broke down right here, but then immediately got bought back up, and it held this this weekly 20-week SMA, right? So that's a good sign. And moving into the daily time frame, yes, just weak, but holding this 51 level, right? And I think we can make a move. The play can be just kind of keep an eye in the lower time frame. If we get back above this 53.60, 54 area, which is also this downtrend line, we can kind of buy it towards 54.50, 55, and an eventual run towards the highs. But if this thing just goes weak below 51.7, we can target 50.80, even 49.80. And if I just kind of make this little trend, this channel, yeah, so we can definitely go, if we go weak, if this name goes weak, we can see a move towards $49 or $50, right? And still be okay in terms of the channel. So that can be a good dip buy area if you're waiting to go long this name, right? So that's something you can watch. Here is a chart of NEO weekly time frame. Actually looks nice with this bullish harami pattern where you have this big long trend bar, weekly trend bar, which is a red bar, but we don't see any bearish follow through. In fact, you have this sort of an inside looking bullish weekly bar. So that's a good sign. Moving on to a daily time frame, you can see we broke out of this this downtrend line, right? We had this accumulation here towards the lower end of this recent move, right? We held this level nicely for 4 consecutive days, 55.80 right here. And then we got this range breakout. So now usually if that happens, right, you can see something like this where it just kind of makes that move, and this resistance can come into play around 63.20. But this, from the location perspective, it's bullish. From the structure perspective, it's also bullish, right? So that's a good sign. Moving into a lower time frame, look at this. It's very nicely bullish. When it broke out of this trend line, right, it has maintained this up channel, and it did not give up that recent move to the upside, right? It kind of held on and closed towards the high. So that's a good sign. That means that the bulls do not want to give up this recent breakout, and they're holding that trend, and any dip can towards even 61, 60.5 can be bought as a channel bottom holds, and then eventually it sees the moves above 62.2, 63.20, and then the resistance does not come into play until like maybe, I don't know, 64, 64.40, and eventually even higher than that. But for right now, this is the play, this is the channel. CRWD, the weekly chart, looks okay. It has not been able to get traction above this 225 area, right? You can see every time it trades there, it kind of goes sideways or just kind of becomes a little heavy, but it's maintaining. From the weekly chart perspective, it is making higher lows, right? This one as well, but it's it's not making higher highs. So we'll see what happens. But it is in this sort of ascending triangle pattern, right? So that is okay, and still bullish on this name. In fact, I made a lot of profit on this one last week because I played this. Let me show you this breakout that I had. This one right here. So I played this breakout. Of course, it got failed, but this was a good trade, right? But notice how it broke out with a gap up, but it couldn't sustain that breakout, right? And it has gone weak since then. That means that the buyers are not okay with this price being up above here. However, if we get back above 226 area, again, we kind of get above this short-term trend line, likes to trade here. That will tell me that buyers are not giving up, and eventually we want to break out of this 229, 230 area, right? But if we go back weak below 220, that means this move was sort of a fake breakout, and we still want to go test the lows on 217 type price point, right? That's the support for right now. So we'll just go and we'll plan for this one and see which way it triggers. Okay. Here is another name I like, Run. Traded that one also last week, but this looks good. I mean, the dips are getting bought. We have this nice weekly bullish trend bar, and then just some sideways action, right, where it's holding the price. And here's the daily. You can see we had this nice big retracement. And then on Thursday, we got this breakout with an outside bar. And since then, we are holding this level. Yes, Friday was a sideways to kind of bullish day, an inside day, but holding this recent breakout that it did, which is kind of obvious here in the lower time frame, right? This was a nice breakout. Yes, buyers would have liked, or bulls would have liked it to kind of maintain that recent breakout and kind of close above 88. Or towards 89.5. That's the area where it started breaking out from. But we kind of recovered on Friday and closed towards the high end of the day. Now let's see if it can continue and make and build the momentum back towards 88, 89.50, and eventually take this area out, or it goes weak back below 83 and wants to go retest this broken trend line towards 80, 79 area. Right, that's where we can see a bounce from on this name as well. So, like always, just look for these levels, play out these levels, and always like to analyze these charts in the lower time frame to take your entry, but keep in mind the higher time frame chart. Okay. Hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, comments, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to respond. Thank you, and have a good rest of your weekend.